The sky was dark, filled with black smoke. Fires burned across the battlefield. Broken weapons, shattered armor, and lifeless bodies lay scattered across the red ground. The war between humans and the alien warriors of Varnock had reached its peak, and now it was silent. Captain Rex Granger stood tall in the middle of the ruins, his breathing slow and heavy. His armor was cracked, his arm bleeding, and his pulse echoed in his ears. But he was alive. Round him his squad lay dead. No backup, no signals. No other humans in sight, only him. He looked around carefully, holding his plasma rifle tight. The alien warriors were fierce, brutal fighters. They never surrendered. If one was still alive, it could be hiding, waiting for the final strike. Then, he heard it. A soft, strange sound. Not a growl. Not a scream. Something else. Rex turned toward the broken stone arch. And there, crawling through the dust, was one alien girl. She wore a torn black battlesuit, and her long silver hair was dirty with ash and blood. She was crawling, slowly, painfully. Her leg twisted unnaturally. One hand dragged a broken sword behind her, but as soon as her eyes met his, she froze. Rex raised his weapon. She dropped the sword. Then something unexpected happened. The alien girl, barely able to move, fell to her knees. She lowered her head. Her arms hung limp beside her. In a soft, shaky voice, she spoke words that hit Rex harder than any bullet. "Don't kill me, human. I'll warm your bed." Rex blinked. He had seen many things in war. Brutality, sacrifice, madness. But this made no sense. Was it some kind of alien trick? Was she mocking him? Or did she think offering herself would save her life? He stepped closer, keeping the rifle aimed at her chest. "Translate." He ordered his wrist AI. The machine beeped and played her words again, only this time in human language. "Don't kill me. I surrender. I offer warmth to your cold." Knights. Rex frowned. She wasn't offering pleasure. She was offering survival. He looked at her again. Her body was shaking, not from fear, but from cold. Her thin skin was turning pale. Her species, he remembered, could not survive freezing temperatures alone. Without heat, they collapsed within hours. She was truly surrendering. Not as a soldier, but as something else. Something desperate. "Name?" he asked. She looked up slowly, her golden eyes glowing faintly. "Zalari," she whispered. Rex didn't lower the weapon. "Why should I let you live?" She closed her eyes and said nothing. Seconds passed. Then Rex saw a small glowing mark on her neck. His AI flashed a note, life bond plea. In her culture, it meant total surrender. She wasn't just giving up. She was offering herself as property. A living sacrifice. By her law, if he accepted, she could never fight again. She would belong to him until death. But Rex didn't want a slave. He wanted answers. He knelt down. Still cautious. Zalari opened her eyes, surprised. He looked at her injury. Her leg was broken badly. Still, she had crawled through the dirt just to reach him, just to surrender. "Why me?" he asked. Her voice cracked. "You didn't shoot." "Others shoot." He waited. Rex stayed quiet. Somewhere deep inside, he knew this war had already taken too much. He had no home left, no family, only orders. But this broken alien girl, for some reason, she was holding on to him like he was her last hope. He took a breath and slowly lowered his weapon. Zalari didn't move. Her eyes widened in disbelief. She was expecting death instead. Rex pulled a small thermal cloth from his side pouch and placed it gently over her shoulders. "You're not my prisoner," he said. "But don't try anything stupid." She nodded slowly. Then, to his surprise, tears fell from her eyes, clear, not blue like her blood. She whispered something again, and the AI translated softly, "Then I am yours, even if you don't want me." Rex looked at her, this strange, proud warrior who had fallen so far and yet still held on to something. Honor? Desperation? Maybe. Both. He didn't know what she meant by warming a bed. But something told him this was only the beginning. The ride back to the human outpost was cold and silent. Captain Rex sat in the back of the armored crawler. eyes fixed on the alien. Girl slumped beside him. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just stared at the floor with empty eyes. Clutching the edge of the thermal cloth, like it was her last shield in the universe, the other soldiers stared at her. Through the glass walls, whispers passed. Some looked disgusted, others curious. One even smirked and said, "So that's the alien girl who offered her bed. Must be a wild one." Rex heard it, but he didn't respond. He looked at Zalari again. She wasn't wild. She was broken. When they reached the medical bay, the human doctors refused to touch her. "Not our problem," said one coldly. "She's an enemy, not a patient." Rex stared the man down. "She surrendered under a binding plea," Rex said flatly. "By interspecies war code, she's under my protection." Still, no one helped. So Rex carried her himself. Her body was lighter than he expected. Fragile even. She winced as he laid her on the cot. Her leg was badly swollen. Her skin was bruised, burned in places. The strange silver veins along her arms had dulled to gray. She looked away, ashamed. "I'm not here to hurt you," X said. "You already have," she replied quietly, her voice hoarse. Rex blinked. "How you saw me kneel, you saw me beg." That was the last part of me that was still a warrior. He didn't know what to say. He'd seen hundreds of enemy fighters fall in battle, but none like this. None who gave up their pride just to survive. Zalari turned her head slowly toward him. "In my world," she said, "when a female kneels in surrender, she is no longer a warrior. She gives her body to the victor. Not for pleasure, but for duty, for warmth, for survival." "You thought I would?" Rex started. "No," she interrupted. "But I hoped you wouldn't. That was my risk." Cat, confused, angry, and somehow guilty. "I'm not your master," he said. "I know," she whispered, "but I'm still yours. My people won't take me back. My code is broken. My name is dust now." I hit him hard. He opened the translator again and quietly asked, "What does warm your bed mean in your language?" Zalari looked up with red eyes. "It means let me stay close. Let me live. I will give you warmth in return. It's not about mating. It's about not dying alone." Rex stared at the floor. The silence between them grew heavy. Outside the medbay, another soldier approached. "Orders just came in. They want her transferred to interrogation block. High command wants answers." Rex stood. "No," he said. The soldier frowned. "Captain, she's an enemy. She's not a threat. She's under protection." "Tell command. If they want her, they go through me." Zalari watched him, her lips parting in disbelief. Rex looked at her. "Rest. No one's taking you from here." When the soldier left, Rex turned back to her. "You're safe now. And I don't care what your people think of you. I'll decide who you are from now on." Zalari reached for his wrist. Her fingers were cold. "Then tell me who I am," she whispered. Rex didn't answer right away. He looked into her glowing golden eyes. She was still scared, still lost. It's somewhere inside her. Something brave was still burning. "You're not dust," he said softly. "You're fire that hasn't gone out yet." Her eyes widened. Her lips trembled. That night, Rex stayed in the medbay, sitting near her bed. She didn't ask to crawl into his blanket. She just lay there, facing him, as if afraid to fall asleep and wake up somewhere else. Before closing her eyes, she whispered one last thing. "This is the first time someone called me more than a warrior." And Rex, he didn't know what was happening. But for the first time in months, he didn't feel like a soldier either. He felt like a man protecting something that mattered, something worth keeping warm. The nights on Outpost Delta 7 were cold, even with heaters. The wind howled across the metal walls like ghosts from lost wars. But inside the old storage unit turned medical shelter, a strange warmth had begun to grow, one that neither Captain Rex nor Zalari could explain. She was healing. Slowly her leg was braced. Burns covered most of her left side. She couldn't stand on her own yet, but she refused to ask for help. Even when her arms trembled, she tried to wash herself. Even when she fell, She pulled herself back up without a word. Rex saw it all. From the corner of the room, he watched her every night. He pretended to read reports, clean his gear, or fix the same laser rifle for the 5th time. But his eyes always drifted back to her, and Zellery noticed she never said anything. But sometimes, when she thought he wasn't looking, she would glance at him, 2 quick, soft glances that lasted only a second, as if she was trying to remember the face of the man who spared her life. On the 4th night, Rex was awakened by a small sound. Tap, tap, tap. He blinked. It wasn't gunfire, not footsteps. He turned and saw Zellery at the corner of his bed, shivering. "What are you doing?" he asked, sitting up. I can't sleep," she whispered. "The cold. My people. We don't sleep alone in cold air. Our body shuts down." Rex looked at her closely. She had wrapped herself in 2 blankets already. Her lips were blue. "I told you to use the heat vents." "They stopped working an hour ago," she said softly. Embarrassed, he sighed. Then he slid to the side and opened the blanket without a word. Zellery froze. "I'm not asking you for anything," Rex said. "I'm just offering you what you offered me, warmth." She nodded slowly. Then she climbed into the bed, careful not to brush against him too much. She lay stiff as a board, her back toward him, her hands clenched in front of her. Neither of them spoke for a long time, but as the hours passed, Rex noticed something strange. Zellery's breathing began to sync with his. Her body relaxed, little by little, like a frightened animal that finally trusted its shelter. She didn't move close, but her tail thin and silver curled gently near his side, like an unconscious gesture of comfort. Then came a whisper in the dark. "Does your species ever feel shame after kindness?" Rex blinked, unsure what she meant. "No," he said. "We feel shame after cruelty." She was quiet for a moment. "Where I'm from," she whispered, "weakness is shame, and I've never been this weak." Rex turned slightly toward her. "You're not weak. You're just tired." "No," she said, voice breaking. "I surrendered. I kneeled. I begged. And now I lie beside you, hoping you don't think I'm disgusting." He didn't answer. Instead, he reached out and gently pulled the blanket higher over her shoulder. Then he spoke softly. "I don't think you're disgusting. I think you're the only person in this base brave enough to ask for help." Zellery didn't reply, but her tail slowly wrapped around his ankle light as a feather. In the following days, rumors grew across the outpost. Captain's sleeping with a Xeno. Oh, he's brainwashed. Maybe she controls him with alien scent. Rex didn't respond to any of it, because none of them saw what he did. They didn't see Zellery struggle to stand just to hand him a canteen. They didn't see her flinch when Medbot scanned her, even though she tried to hide the pain. They didn't see the way her golden eyes lit up when he said her name, without mistake. They didn't see the warrior still inside her, the one who hadn't given up, even when her people had. One night, as they sat near the power core to stay warm, Zellery spoke. "Do humans fall for the ones they protect?" Rex raised an eyebrow. "Why do you ask?" "Because I think I'm falling," she said quietly, "and I don't know if it's because you're kind, or because you didn't treat me like an object when I offered myself." Rex looked at her, this alien girl, this fierce warrior, this lost soul trying to rebuild herself. He didn't have the answer, but he knew this. He didn't want her to leave his side anymore. Zellery's presence in the human outpost was no longer a secret at first. Soldiers just whispered. They stared when she limped across the hall, supported by Rex's arm. They murmured when she sat silently during meal breaks, refusing to eat the human rations but never complaining. But then, the mood changed. Whispers turned into stares. Stares became glares. Some called her a spy. Others laughed and called her captain's bed warmer. One soldier even spat near her feet and muttered, "Should have finished the job on the battlefield." Rex heard it all. He saw it in the way the other officers avoided his table, how they paused their conversations when he entered a room. But what made his blood boil was how Zellery reacted to it. She said nothing. She didn't cry, simply lowered her gaze and walked quietly behind him, as if trying to make herself smaller. That night Rex confronted her in his quarters. "You can't keep taking this," he said. "You're not a prisoner." Zalari stood by the heater, arms crossed over her chest. "I am not angry," she replied calmly. "I understand your people." "No, you don't," he said, stepping closer. "You think you deserve this?" Finally looked up, golden eyes glowing in the dim light. "I do." Shamed myself. I surrendered. I crawled. Her voice cracked. "In my culture, I don't deserve respect anymore." Rex's fists clenched. "Your culture left you to die. Mine would have done the same." Zalari looked confused. "Then why did you save me?" Rex hesitated. He had no easy answer. All he knew was when he saw her kneeling in the dirt, offering warmth not with her body but with her broken spirit, he couldn't let her be destroyed like that. "You didn't deserve death," he said. "You deserved a second chance." But outside that warm room, danger was growing. Late that night, the alarm sounded short, urgent beeps, not an attack. Rex grabbed his weapon and ordered Zalari to stay in his quarters. But she limped. After him, whispering, "It's not humans," he stopped. "What?" She nodded grimly. "I feel it, my kind. They're close." Moments later, the truth came on the radio. A second Varnak scout party had landed nearby. Unknown numbers. Possibly looking for survivors or to erase them. "They're not coming to rescue me," Zalari said coldly. "They're coming to finish me." Rex's blood ran cold. He turned to the commanding officer, but the answer was what he feared. "Evacuate the outpost. Leave the alien. She's a liability." "No," Rex said firmly. "She's under my protection. Then stay." Behind with her, the officer snapped. "Your loyalty is already questionable." By sunrise, the outpost was nearly empty. Only Rex, a few med staff. Zalari remained. Zalari sat quietly on a metal bench, staring at the horizon where two black ships now hovered like dark birds waiting to strike. "They won't send warriors," she said. "They'll send punishers. Not for war, for shame." Rex handed her a blaster. "Then we fight." Zalari looked at the weapon in her hand. "You trust me with this?" she asked, surprised. "You were ready to die for me on the battlefield," Rex said. "It's more trust than I've ever had with half the humans here." She tightened, her grip on the weapon, her posture slowly straightening. "I still remember how to shoot." They waited together, side by side, just outside the gate. The wind blew Zalari's silver hair across her face. She didn't fix it. Her eyes were locked. On the shadow approaching from the trees, 3 tall alien figures emerged, armored in black and silver. Their faces were masked. Their steps were slow and sure. Rex raised his weapon. One of them masked. Aliens stepped forward and spoke something in their native tongue. Zalari replied not with fear, but with sharpness. Rex's AI translated, "She has broken the code. She must be erased. She belongs to no clan. And the human who defends her dies too." Smiled grimly and whispered, "They talk too much." Zalari chuckled softly. Then the first bolt flew. The first plasma bolt missed Rex's head by an inch. He didn't flinch. He'd already aimed and fired back. Zalari was faster. Before the second enemy warrior could raise his weapon, she'd already moved, not limping, not slow, but with sharp precision that reminded Rex who she truly was, a trained killer. A warrior once feared. Her first shot went low, disabling the enemy's leg. Her second grazed the shoulder of another. Not lethal, intentional. She wasn't killing them. She was sending a message. The air cracked. With blasts, smoke rose between the trees as the Varnak punishers closed in, no emotion. No mercy. Rex ducked behind a crate and shouted, "Fall back!" To the generator shed. Zalari didn't move. She stood in the open, her back straight, her blaster down. "What are you doing?" Rex shouted again. "They won't stop if we keep running," she said calmly. "They'll hunt me across every moon until I die." Rex cursed under his breath. "Then we fight here." Zalari turned to him slowly. "No," she said. "You go." "I'm not leaving," I said. "Go," she shouted, her voice suddenly fierce, trembling. If you die with me, they win. My people will call me a traitor, and the humans will bury me with shame. He stepped toward her. I don't care what they call you. I care about what you are. She looked at him. Now really looked. No armor, no lies. Just a human man choosing to stand with her, even when the world told him to walk away. Zellery's voice dropped to a whisper. You should have left me on that battlefield. Why didn't you? Rex answered, with his chest rising and falling in anger, fear, and something deeper. Because you're not broken. You were just waiting for someone to see you. The battle was getting closer. The ground shook with approaching footsteps. Zellari closed her eyes. Just for a second, then something inside her shifted. She raised her head. If we die today, she said, then let them die, remembering that we were not afraid. Rex gave her a crooked smile. Now you sound like a human. The next wave came fast for warriors. One leaped onto the rooftop. Another fired blindly through the smoke. Zellari rolled across the ground, firing with both hands now. Her movements were brutal, clean, and terrifying. She wasn't holding back anymore. Rex covered her flank, taking down 2 enemies with short, focused bursts. Blood sprayed across the sand. The wind carried the scent of ozone and smoke, and then silence. Only 2 enemies remained. One backed away, dragging a wounded comrade. Zellari stepped forward. She shouted something in her native tongue.
A voice sharp like a blade.
Rex's translator caught only part of it. Tell them. The warmth I found was worth more than your cold law. The retreating warrior paused. His mask tilted slightly. Then he ran. Later, after they confirmed the attackers had fled, Rex and Zellari stood quietly in the dusk. She was bleeding again. Her side burned from a fresh graze. Her legs trembled, but she stayed standing. Rex walked up to her, took her hand gently, and placed it over his chest. You saved me. He said no, she whispered. You saved me first. Back when I was nothing. He tilted his head. And now? She didn't smile, but her voice was calm, full of something that had been missing since the day she surrendered. Now, I'm someone. That night, in the warmth of the dim-lit bunker, Zellari leaned quietly against his shoulder. Her tail flicked softly behind her, like it had a life of its own. She didn't ask to crawl into his bed. She didn't need to. Rex had already opened the blanket, and when she lay beside him, she wasn't trembling this time. Not from cold, not from shame. Just peace. Asterisk, the medbay smelled like burnt metal and healing gel. Zellari lay quietly on the cot, eyes half closed, her arm bandaged and her leg elevated. Her body was bruised, but her spirit was changing. For the first time since she arrived, she no longer looked like she was waiting to die. She looked like someone beginning to hope again. Rex sat beside her, silently checking the vitals on a handheld tablet. He didn't speak much that day. Not because he had nothing to say, but because some things didn't need words anymore. Zellari turned her head slightly. You haven't left my side for 3 days, she said softly. I know, Rex replied. I couldn't. Her golden eyes. Mediz? Are you guarding me? She asked, a small flicker of mischief in her voice. He gave a tired smile. No, I'm staying close, just in case you need warmth. At those words, her tail twitched. A silent gesture, one he now understood, meant gratitude. Rex, she whispered. What do humans do when someone saves them not just from death but from disappearing inside? He looked at her carefully. Most say thank you. Some repay. It, and the rare ones, never leave the person again. Later that evening, Zellari sat upright with effort and reached for a small stone shard she kept under her pillow. It was rough and glowing with a faint blue pulse. She placed it in Rex's hand without explanation. What is this? He asked. She looked down. A bindstone from my clan, she said. We give it only once, when we want to bond our life with another, not just in body, but in future. Rex blinked. You mean like marriage? Zellari shook her head slowly. Not like your human marriage, deeper, final. If you accept it, we share senses, pain, memory, even dreams. He stared at the shard. It's glowing because I've already chosen, she said quietly. But it won't stay lit unless you choose to. Rex didn't answer. Instead, he hurriedly studied her. She still had scars from the battle. Her left eye was swollen. Her breathing was shallow. But behind the wounds, there was strength and something else. A kind of trust that didn't come easy to warriors. I don't need the stone to protect you, he said. Zelari smiled faintly. It's not for protection, she said. It's for staying. That night, Rex stood outside the med bay holding the bind stone in his palm, watching it flicker softly behind him. The base commander arrived? We're pulling you out, Captain, he said flatly. Earth Command wants you reassigned, and the alien should be transferred to xenobiology. Observation unit. Rex turned slowly. Like hell she will. You're getting too close, the officer warned. That thing was our enemy. You're not thinking straight. Rex stepped forward. No, I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. The officer narrowed his eyes. So what now? You going to run off and live with her like some fairy tale ending? Rex looked down at the glowing stone, then back at the building behind him. No, he said. I'm going to stay with the one person who didn't treat me like just a soldier. Hours later, he returned to the med bay. Zelari was asleep tail, curled gently, one arm resting on her chest. Rex sat beside her and carefully placed the bind stone on her open palm. She didn't stir, but the stone flared to life glowing bright blue, humming softly like a heartbeat, and in her sleep, Zelari smiled. That night, they shared the same dream for the first time. In it they weren't warriors, not enemies, not wounded survivors. They were just two souls sitting quietly beneath the stars. No need for weapons, no need for words. Only the warmth they once promised each other in the middle of a cold, cruel war. Weeks had passed, the outpost had changed, so had its people, and in the center of it all, Zelari walked again. Her steps were slow but proud. Her wounds had faded into silver scars. Her armor, once dark and torn, was now remade from salvaged human tech, adjusted to fit her shape, not as a prisoner. Not as a soldier, but as something new. A bridge between two worlds. As she entered the main hall of the outpost, every conversation stopped. Eyes followed her. But this time, there were no insults. No laughter, no spit on the floor. Only silence and respect. Rex followed behind her, not as a guardian, but as her equal. His uniform bore a new patch now, Cultural Liaison, Varnak Integration Command. A title no other human had dared to hold. Zelari didn't speak much in the meetings. But when she did, even the generals listened. She explained her people's customs, their fears, their need for warmth, both physical and emotional. And when the human officers mocked her, for once crawling on the battlefield and begging for mercy, she smiled calmly and replied, "If that moment brought peace between us, then I would crawl again." That night, under the pale moons of the planet, Zelari and Rex sat beside a fire near the outpost wall. She had removed her armor, wore only simple fabric now, stitched by her own hand. Rex tossed a stone toward the flames. "You were right," he said. "About what?" she asked, leaning back on her hands. "That I was cold before you came into my life." She smiled softly. "You had warmth. You just forgot where to find it." They sat in silence, watching sparks rise into the night. Then Zelari reached into a pouch and pulled out a folded piece of paper, human tradition sheet. Learned from Rex, she opened it carefully and handed it to him. It was a drawing, simple, rough, made with a child's pencil, but beautiful. Two figures, standing back to back. One human, one Varnak. No weapons, just holding hands. And behind them, a small home under the stars. Rex stared at it, his voice quiet. "You drew this?" Zelari nodded. "It's a promise, not just to you, but to the future." The elder stared. Long at Zelari, then at Rex. "This is the one who broke the warrior code," the elder said coldly. "No," Rex replied, standing tall. "This is the one who changed it." The elder did not bow, but he placed a single stone at Zelari's feet. "Then you lead now. Show us what honor looks like. When it's not covered in blood, Zalari didn't speak. She simply picked up the stone, held it high, and whispered a word that had no true translation in human language. But Rex felt it in his heart. Home. Weeks became months. New Varnock envoys began arriving. Some stayed. Some helped. Other humans began asking questions instead of giving orders. And one night, as they lay beside each other under that same blanket, Laurie looked into Rex's eyes and whispered, "Do you think our child will be more like you? Or like me?" Rex blinked, stunned. "Wait, child." Zalara's smile grew wide and warm. "Yes," she said. "You accepted the bindstone. You share my senses now. You didn't feel it." He sat up, breath caught in his throat. She took his hand and placed it gently on her stomach. "It's very early," she said softly. His eyes shimmered with something he hadn't felt in years. Joy, real, deep joy. And as he wrapped her in his arms, holding her tight, the warmth between them was no longer just survival. It was life. It was legacy. It was love, far beyond the battlefield. In a quiet place built from fire and forgiveness, a new kind of warrior had been born. Not from weapons. Not from war, but from the simple act of choosing to stay when everyone else walked away.